Hey YouTube, Mason Sushi here. I'm going to try something a little different here in my 10-minute window. I'm going to try to do a console review. I'm not going to be super technical, so if you're looking at megahertz of processors and whatnots like that, check out another review. Mine will be Super Nintendo. Came out in America August 23rd, 91 I believe, and it was Nintendo's response to the Sega Genesis that came out in '89. Nintendo held the market since '85, and when Sega released theirs in '89, they thought, we're still pretty good for a while, but we need to start planning for our next console. It took them 2 years, and in '91, fall of '91, they released the Super Nintendo. It's a fantastic system, my favorite system personally. But they took the biggest cue from the Genesis and also improved on the failure of the Nintendo by introducing the top-load design. So I guess I'll, well, when they released it, they released five games. I only have 4 of them. The first one, of course, that came with the system, Super Mario World. The next one being Gradius 3. You also have F-Zero, SimCity, and Pilot Wings, which I don't own that one. But the Super Nintendo was a vast graphical improvement, sporting 16-bit processor compared to the 8-bit of the Nintendo. I personally don't care for the styling of the system. I like the Super Famicom and the Super Famicom version, but that's just personal preference. Right here you have the slide up and down for the power, and here it's just it has a spring-loaded reset switch, and in the middle they have an ejection. So when you actually put a game in it, you would press the eject button to release the cartridge, which seems kind of silly, but if you really think about it, they could have used that on like the NES top loader, because that thing death grips some cartridges. Of course, you have your 2 controller ports on the front. They're a lot wider than the NES counterpart. And on the back, you have your power. You have your 3/4 channel switch. Sorry about the shadow, guys. You have your RF, which was pretty standard at the time, but they also included the AV multi-out, which uses your red, white, yellow cables. Most people on the YouTube that I've looked at fail to mention that this model Super Nintendo also supports S-Video, and with modern televisions, this is the kind of connection you really need to have on your modern TVs. The RCA just doesn't cut it. With these big, 45, 50, 60-inch televisions. I would highly suggest finding you a S-Video GameCube cable, because it's compatible with the GameCube multi-out and the 64 multi-out cable. That's what I use. And on the bottom, you have an external port. That was rumored to be used for the CD attachment that Sony was supposed to make, which ended up being the PlayStation, but there's videos on that on YouTube if you want to hear about that. When looking for the system, they ended up moving to a different kind of plastic from what I've heard, and you can tell the differences here with this one, which they look close to the similar at the beginning, but if you put them side by side, there's noticeable difference. Yeah, the ugly yellow tarnish of some of the Super Nintendos that are out. It's just the pick of the lot, so when going, I mean, they function the same, so it's not like you're getting anything inferior. Just, be mindful that when, you see a picture like this on eBay or whatever, get them to turn it over, take a side pick if you want something that's yellow. Like I said, it has to do with the plastic. There's actually a kind of bath you can put these things into. I can't recall the name of the bath right now, but it uses some OxyClean or something like that, and you soak it in there and it bleaches out to the original color, putting oxygen back in the plastic. Of course, this is a spare and I've never used it, so there's that. trying to think what else. Oh yeah, let's talk the controllers. In the US, we received two controllers, your XY and your AB, and your D-pad. Start select here, and your L and R. Cool. And so that was the pad we received. Now, I do suggest that you, when looking for controllers, be careful because they hinge at the top here in the center, and they bend more down here. So what happens is ones that are heavily used actually press up here, and it's broken this hinge up at the top part. So be mindful of that. But this is the one we got. I really don't care for the color palette. The concave ones are actually buttons taken from the NES mold. So those are just Nintendo molds. And these convex buttons are actually Game Boy buttons. So little tidbit of information there. Those, and you know, it makes it really nice when you're playing to be able to feel, you know, which ones are which. The PAL and Japanese Famicoms use a different controller. This is it. They have the nice multicolor, which I thought we should have gotten, but theirs are all of the convex. So none of them have the concave. So when playing, you might be able to get your thumb lost a little bit. I guess I like the colors. I wish they had the colors, but had two of them being concave like the Nintendo ones. Again, personal preference. Then they have the different styling up at the top with the Famicom type logo. Trying to think. Also, cart comparisons. The PAL and the Japanese used a different cart design. This is a Rockman and Forte, and then here's ours. But you can tell how they did their region lock was they put tabs here for us, and they don't have tabs there, and it has a curve shape to the top of the cartridge, where ours, as you can see, is straight across. In a regular US Super Nintendo, that's not so much of an issue, because if you can see down there, which you're not going to be able to, if you snap the tabs off, you can actually play the Japanese games in an American system without any problem. Just again, open it up. There's videos on that on YouTube. No reason to kind of go into that here. What else to talk about? Later in the life, I believe is it 97 or so, they redid a system redesign and they created the mini version, and there it is here. I don't like this one. It's a lot lighter, which is nice, and has a smaller footprint, which is nice. So if you put it on top of it, you can kind of see how much smaller it is. You know, it's about the same height if I remember correctly, you know, but it's a lot shorter when side by side. So the footprint overall is smaller. You know, it takes up less space. The big drawback for me is no S-video support in this. A lot of people forget that when they suggest this to people. Yeah, no S-video. They also took out the RF adapter, so you only have AV. So you have no RF and only AV. So if you had an older TV, you were screwed. If you got real creative, you could actually, and you also had a 64, they created a little square adapter that used the multi-out and that ended in an RF. I'm not sure, but I bet if you kind of worked with it a little bit, you might be able to figure out a way to put it in here and then have RF out. But you're really pushing it for that. This was one of the last ditch things. Like most systems create a smaller version on their way out, you know, to make it more, you know, affordable and to catch some of the stragglers in the console war. Trying to think what else. I think it's my favorite system. It is by far the most nostalgic when I look back to playing the Super Nintendo. They're very affordable. Used ones about 45 bucks, 40 bucks. You know, if you look right, you might be able to catch them at garage sales and stuff for like 20 bucks. Get them. Be careful of the controllers. Try to buy original controllers and not generic. The generics break real easily. And like I said, also look for S-video for your multi-out. Try to avoid, you know, the RF or even the RCA. You know, I mean, you can use the AV, red, white, yellow, or whatever you want to call it. But you know, this is what you really need to find the S-video cable for. It makes it look a lot better, in my opinion. Fantastic system. Had great games like, you know, Super Metroid, Link to the Past, Final Fantasy 2 and 3, or 4 and 6, you know, Breath of Fire, Lufia's, Mario Kart, just tons of games. Star Fox debuted on this system. Highly suggest any person that's a collector or even a casual gamer should probably have this. This system's been cloned a lot now, so shouldn't be an issue finding it to play. Although, because of the Mode 7 with like Mario RPG and stuff, I do suggest getting an original one. It makes compatibility a lot easier. Well guys, thank you for my first review. I hope you liked it. I hope I didn't rush through it and mumble. Let me know. I might do another system. And I'll catch you guys later. Thanks.